If you are feeling insecure, anxious, if you're having panic attacks, this is not you being selfish. Certainly not if you're a smart, ambitious woman in my world. And I'm recording this video literally like 90 seconds, I think, after hearing someone who I've got a lot of respect for on YouTube say that. And she's probably talking to a different kind of person, but anyway. I could feel myself go warm as I was watching it, and I think she probably did it for when I'm saying for clickbait, she probably does mean it, but it's probably a little bit like provocative. Let's just say that. And in her mind, and it's just, kind of right actually. I do agree with this. She said she said she got over her public speaking fears so that she could like help other people. She realised that she was kind of focused on herself, and actually by shifting her attention outwards. And focusing on helping people, then she overcame that fear. And like, I really get that, and it's definitely something that I recommend women to do, is to shift the attention from being inwards to being outwards. But basically all of the women that I coach are already doing work that they are passionate about because they care really, really deeply about other people. And this is why you have pushed and pushed and pushed for so long, and you probably haven't been paying attention or even being able to feel the signals that your body is trying to send you, that something about how you're doing all this isn't okay. Yeah, you're so focused on helping everyone else that you've just like disregarded all of this that's going on. And at some point that starts to snap back. Yeah, it's almost like our nervous systems are these elastic bands, and you pull and you pull and you pull and you pull, or you push really hard, pushing out that way, and at some point your body just goes no, and it pings back. And that is often then when you start having panic attacks, and it'll feel like they've just come out of nowhere at times. You're like, why on earth am I having these? This is just ridiculous. Yeah, so if you're that kind of woman, it's definitely not selfishness. We need to stop thinking in terms of this separation between self and other. That's a classic thing that Buddhists will talk about a lot. But as soon as we get into like, is helping them versus helping myself and being selfish, yeah, being compassionate versus being selfish, like that's not a helpful way to look at things. We need to think about us, yeah, about all being on the same team. And at different times, different people need to have some attention on them. And certainly the women that I coach are so focused on serving so many other people that they just miss that actually they're kind of an essential part of the team. It's like, if you try to function all day without eating, like you might manage that for a day or two, yeah, but at some point you're going to crash, yeah, and you're going to be like, oh, I need to feed myself. And it's the same thing here. So sometimes I think we just keep pushing ourselves very strongly outside of our comfort zones because we really believe in showing up for other people and leading. And I felt this even, say, like within my Buddhist community. I felt really strongly about making myself do more public speaking, making myself feel visible from like the early days of being involved, because I knew there weren't so many like women around. Like I just went on to our website where we upload things to, called Free Buddhist Audio once, and I like counted like the most recent like 100 video talk recordings that had been uploaded, and I think like less than 10% of them or something had been recorded by women at the time, and those 10, like I think 8 of them were by one woman who does a lot of public speaking. Like 2 were from other random women as well. So I felt really passionately like, like not for myself because I hated public speaking, but I thought I really care about this. There are, women who are like babies right now or about to get born who will benefit from Buddhism in the future, or want to create a world in which they can kind of see themselves reflected in the people who are leading classes. So I was so focused on that and believing in the mission, I just was completely disconnected from how anxious I was. Like I didn't want to admit that because I just thought it was well, in hindsight, I think I had this view that was a bit silly, or I shouldn't feel like that because I had a degree from Cambridge and I'd been a consultant for international businesses for several years and all sorts of things. I was power dressing and wandering around London like suited and booted with my fancy laptop and things. So yeah, I think there's different kinds of people who need different kinds of advice. And as I said, certainly in my world, if you're a really mission driven woman and your nervous system starts catching up on you, it's suggesting to me that we actually do need to pay a little bit more attention to what's going on here. So I do not want you to be listening to or reading stuff like that and think, oh my gosh, I'm selfish. Like, you already believe you are selfish, which is why you are doing so much. Yeah, you see everything that's going on in the world, all the problems that need to get solved, and you think, you know, I've got so many advantages compared to most women in the world, like I should be doing all of this. Yeah, you're like very aware, for example, there are women in Afghanistan suffering right now, you know, women in England suffering right now. So, you know, people and children, you know, people of all genders and ages. And you know, you're so focused on that and how good your life is and how much you could give. That is why that's why you're so exhausted. You're having all this kind of anxiety flare-ups. Yes, there's clearly something else going on that you're not paying enough attention to. And so it is not selfish, it is service. Yeah, it's a complete opposite message that I'm giving you. It's not selfish, it is service to take care of yourself. Make sure you're fueling the tank so that you can keep going out and helping people in the way that you want to. And look, sometimes you need seasons where you step back a bit. You don't need to quit what you're doing necessarily. Yeah, I've quit some work that just worked out it wasn't what I wanted to be doing long term. But sometimes it's just about taking the foot off the pedal, yeah, and just like slowing down things a little bit so your nervous system can catch up and you can kind of backfill a whole bunch of skills that you've not been developing so that you can then re-engage with, you know, getting outside of your comfort zone and pushing ahead without this without all this kind of kickback that you'll be experiencing. It's what I talk quite frequently about, like the difference between like your leading and your trailing edge. So someone like you, a woman like you, doing all of this in leadership, speaking up, pushing forward, doing thought leadership, blah, 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 blah. There's like often like quite a big gap between your leading and your trailing edges. Yeah, so your leading edge is like all the things you're really good at, and probably the version of you that everyone sees, yeah, that you project out into the world. And it's not like you're faking it, but that's just like kind of who you are at your best. But then you've got your trailing edge, which will be like all the way back here, which is all your kind of like fears and anxieties and all of that. And that's quite far. And that's why I said it's a bit like having this elastic band that gets stretched very thin. It's this distance between the leading and the trailing edge. And at some point that just becomes too much. Now, it might be nothing that changes about you that means it snaps. It can just be that something else shifts in your world and suddenly you don't have the right conditions to sustain that amount of tension anymore. For example, like someone in your family might become unwell, or like there's something hormonal there's something hormonal that might not be there. You can tell I need to catch up. There is something hormonal that might be going on for you. Like, it might be something going on in your body. Like, I had a difficult period when I was like really like heavily anemic. It was like awful. So yeah, there might be something going on in your body, something in your personal life, at work, whatever. Sometimes I think you just get tired, and it's not kind of like easy to pin down exactly what's contributing to it. But yeah, something will happen where this tension isn't sustainable anymore, and it will just ping back. So yeah, it's not selfish, it is service, and you are very, very welcome here. You do not have an issue with thinking too much about yourself, quite the opposite. There are some meditation and reflection practices that will probably be helpful for you. Go over to my Less Stress, More Impact series on the channel. I can't quite remember which days, but just scroll. There's like one about like finding joy. I think that can be really helpful to do. And also the Kindness Collective that will get uploaded, I think, this week, and as well, which is part of this series of Rebuild Your Confidence. That can be really helpful as well. But just like one of my favorite tips, yeah, for looking after yourself and just learning how to look after yourself better is like the next time that you're doing the shopping in the supermarket, I want you to go around and actually find something that you would really like to have. That's why it's really good to go in when it's a bit later. I really love going into the shops at like Monday late because no one's around. But you probably like spend all your time in there like thinking about everyone else and what they want to have. I've only got two beings to worry about. I've got my fiance and I've got my dog, but I spend the whole time like making a list and working out what they want. And it's just really helpful, even for me, yeah, who works on this stuff, to just go, what is it that I would really like? And it might be that I want ice cream, or it might be that I want pastry. It's normally some kind of like treaty thing. But just like checking in with yourself, turning that attention inward and going like, what would we like? What would feel good today? Like sometimes it's like a nice new little notebook or a silly pen or something like that, or some like really good fruit. I get this real like craving for like a fruit bowl, and I do up a whole thing. But yeah, there's something just about like remembering to come back into your body and actually check like what is it that we need. Yeah, or like, oh, I'm having like cramps, I need to get some painkillers, whatever. Or have some cranberry juice, whatever it is. That's a nice little thing that you can just do regularly that doesn't really take any extra time. You've already got to go and do the shopping every week or do your weekly order. So go and practice that. Literally the next time you go into a shop, I want you to do that, please. Just get yourself something, maybe set yourself a little budget, 5-10 quid, whatever it is, but make sure you don't forget. And I'll catch you soon. Lots of love. Bye.